Hey team, how you going today? It is Hannah here. Welcome back to my channel. I am not a virgin. There it is. I said it. I'm sorry, mum and dad. I'm 28 years old. It's happened at least times. So I saw this article on BuzzFeed because I don't do anything useful with my life except go on the internet. And it's titled The Weirdest Places People Have Had Sex. And I was like, I'm just gonna read that and have my face on camera as I read it because I feel like it's gonna be interesting. Maybe at the end I will share with you my weirdest place, depending on what the other ones are and how they stack up, because I feel like mine's not that weird, but we'll see. I don't know. Okay, so the first one, I'm just gonna read these out. So just so that you know this is not me, I'm just gonna read these out and we're gonna experience it together. You know how you try not to read ahead and then you read ahead? I just read ahead. It's a lot. There's a lot. So, number one. My friend lost her virginity inside a large concrete pipe in front of her parents' house. They chose the pipe as a secret place away from her parents' prying eyes. It didn't help though, as the concrete pipe acted like a speaker and amplified their echoey sex noises right into her parents' bedroom window. Kids are dumb. Kids are dumb. I assumed that they were kids when they did that. I wouldn't want to be like 25 years old and being like, I'm gonna lose my virginity inside a concrete pipe. This is a great idea. I assumed that they were young, reckless, and how could that ever be comfortable? Look, I'm not making rules about what type of sex you have to have, but in sex, there is one person who's on the top and one person who's on the bottom, right? That can change halfway through the sex, but the person who's on the bottom is gonna be lying on a cold concrete pipe with at least 50% of their bare skin on it. You don't have to be completely naked to have sex, but most of you has to be pantsless, right? What? That can't be comfortable. Oh my goodness. Number two, I feel like this was written by Ron Weasley. I had access to the clock tower at my university. I snuck the girl I was seeing at the time up there. If I could get up there, I'd definitely have sex there again. Oh, that doesn't seem, that's not that interesting. Okay, my high school boyfriend and I would meet up after school and have sex basically anywhere we could because he was such a babe. I'm sure he was at 17, such a babe. Gross. We had sex a couple of times in a public toilet in Darling Harbour. One time my underwear managed to get into the neighboring cubicle, so I cut my losses and went home without them. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. A public bathroom is so like covered in piss and shit and like dirty tampons. I just could never feel sexy in a bathroom. Ugh! I don't know who can do that. I'm sorry. I don't mean to judge anybody harshly, but that is not my jam. Oh my goodness, no. This one, look, here's the thing. I used to bang my manager at the supermarket we worked at. He had stamina issues, so the idea of being caught made him last longer. This led to doing it in the park at my parents' place and eventually on a pile of frozen cheesecakes in the middle of the walk-in freezer next to the massive bags of imitation crab meat. Okay, if there's one thing that I don't find sexy, it's imitation crab meat, okay? And if you get turned on by that, that is your personal life choice, but I do not support it and I also think it's weird. Here's a story about me now. This is no longer from BuzzFeed, this is from my life. I used to work in a kitchen and I dated somebody while we both worked in the kitchen together. And the benches there were like 3 different heights of benches, right? There was one bench where you would walk into the store and there was like the freezer was around the corner and then the rest of the store was that way. But just as you walked in and into like the food prep area, there was a corner that you couldn't see the people on the cameras there. It was this tiny little corner. And the bench there was the perfect height to have like a lady sit on the bench and the man be having sex with her. And the amount of times that this person that I was dating was like, oh, we should have sex here because the cameras can't see us and it's the perfect height and it would be risque, was frankly terrifying, the amount that he suggested it. And every time I was like, we make food on these benches. I am not putting my bare ass on this stainless steel, firstly because that'd be cold, and secondly because we prepare food here. I do not care how many times you bleach a bench top, you cannot get the taste of ass crack out of it. It is too much. And I am so proud to say that of my multiple years working in that kitchen, I never once had sex in my workplace. I know that that's a weird thing to be proud of, but the amount that I was like pestered by my boyfriend that we should do it, I'm surprised that I was resilient enough to be like, no, that's gross. Because most of the time, if somebody asks me to do something 3 or 4 times, I'll just go, oh, fine, I'll do it because I'm sick of arguing. But that was the one thing that I was like, I'm never gonna do it, and I never did it. So snaps for Hannah's butt not being where we prepare your food. Anyway, Next, let's move on to some stories about sex that don't involve me. I was at this music festival with this guy I was into. Okay, I'm gonna pause there. At a music festival, there are 2 places. Outside in the field, inside in a porta potty. Both of those I don't find acceptable. Let's read on and find out what happens. I was at a music festival with this guy I was into, and we ended up doing it on top of a lilo near a bunch of tents. Towards the end, a group of guys that were near us started clapping. No applause was necessary. No, I think applause was necessary so that they made you realize that you were having sex just outside and everyone could see you and you were making it a communal experience. As much as I support people to have orgies and threesomes and whatever they like, it is not a community experience. People should not be forced into watching or hearing you have sex. That's gross and weird. No. Okay, this next one is like steamy as fuck. Oh my goodness. This is a boy writing this, by the way. I was overseas working on a cruise ship while it was getting renovated, and every day I would pass this Italian security guard. We're all picturing somebody, aren't we? I'm picturing somebody and he's hot. One day I could tell he was into me and he gestured for me to follow him. I followed him up to the helipad. Sparks were literally flying as I was on all fours watching the welding in the distance. He didn't speak any English and I didn't know much Italian, so we never really got to talk, although we didn't feel the need to. It was a fun one-time thing. Oh my god, that is so steamy. I think again, this sex in public situation, if you are 100% sure that no one is gonna walk in on you, go for it. My problem is when people have sex in public when other people can walk in. And like, the fact that it's a cruise ship that's being renovated, no helicopters are gonna come and drop off passengers because there's no passengers up on the helipad. That's a good idea, but I would feel so exposed. I don't think I could do that. Oh my goodness. Wow, 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 wow. I mean, get it, dude. You know what I mean? Like, get it where you can get it, dude. Wow. Okay, so the next one is by a lady. I met this dude at a conference and we were so into each other that we found a supply closet during one of the speeches and had sex a couple of times. We managed to knock over a shelf full of supplies, but no one seemed to hear the noise. We had sex again after that. See, look, helipad to broom closet, I'm sorry. I don't feel that that's exciting anymore. Oh my god. This next one is just rude. My girlfriend and I went on a tour of the Great Wall of China. During the tour, we ditched the crowd and managed to get inside one of the turrets of the wall. I took a lot of scenic photos that day. Wait, what? Wait, hold up. You took a lot of scenic photos? Does that mean you took naked photos of you and her, like, having sex on the Great Wall of China? Do you have footage of that? Is that not against the law? Is that not some kind of desecration of a monument? That is so disrespectful. I don't know how to feel about that. Wow. Who gets turned on at a tour of the Great Wall of China? Who's like, you know what could really top off this tour? Is just getting deep dicked in a fucking turret. Who thinks that? My god. These people. This is the last one and it's by a lady, I believe. That's a unisex name. It could be either. It's your choice. Choose your own adventure. I'm not sure. So I met a guy online and we went for a drink and back to his place. A couple of weeks later, I went on a date with another guy and went back to his house where, you guessed it, both of the guys were housemates. We ended up having a couple of drinks and a laugh, which turned into a really hot threesome on their balcony. Oh my god. Firstly, What kind of bougie fucking apartment are you living in where the balcony is big enough that you can have a threesome on it? The only apartments I've ever been in, lived in, stayed in, my friends have stayed in, have had freaking balconies that are this big, and you can't even have 2 people on the balcony, let alone 3 people in sexual positions. And oh my God, those housemates, they must have known, right? He must have been like, oh dude, I'm going on a date with this chick later tonight or later in the week. It's this girl. And the first guy must have been like, yeah, I dated her last week. They must have planned that, right? They must have known that it was the same girl. And when she comes home, I'm not the type of person where my first instinct to be like, oh, I've dated the same person as my friend. My first instinct is, this would be awkward. Let's leave it at that. No harm, no foul. Goodbye. Not, let's all 3 of us have sex together. Like, I've had threesomes and they've been great and some have been not good, and I should also definitely make a video about the rules of threesomes because, guys, people just like throw themselves into it and it's a bad idea. But this, they must have planned it. The 2 dudes must have been like, all right, here's what we're gonna do. We're housemates who have weirdly been thinking about having sex with the same person as each other, naked in the same room. Maybe it was a dude. It's a kind of a gender neutral name, and maybe it was 3 dudes having a threesome. So I don't think that I've done anything weirder than anybody in any of these little stories here from the reputable website www.buzzfeed.com. But I thought that in fairness, I mean, I shared a story with you earlier about places that I have not had sex, but I feel like, in fairness, I should share a story with you about where maybe I have had sex, because I'm gonna roast all these other people about their embarrassing antics. I may as well also roast myself. Isn't that the point of this? Anyway, and I want to preface this by saying, if you know me in real life, maybe just this isn't the video for you. Either stop watching the video or literally never talk to me about this face to face ever, because I don't want to know. Actually, you know what? I've probably told this story quite a few times. While drunk, tipsy, like 1 drink in, well, how do you count like I've just had a sip of my first drink and the alcohol really isn't even in my system yet, but I've decided that that's my excuse to be the trash human and the embarrassment that I really am. That's probably when I tell this story the most. The weirdest place I've ever had sex was in a public park. It was very late at night, so I knew that no one was gonna come and find us. But in this park, there's like a scouts hall. At this particular time of the year, the local public school was being renovated and a lot of their classrooms weren't available to be used. So because this public park and the Scouts Hall is just around the corner, what happened is that the kindergarten class was learning in the Scouts Hall. Now, I'm used to the Scouts Hall being empty at all times because that's what it is. It's only used on the weekends and like 1 weeknight. But at this particular time in all of our lives, in history, it was temporarily a kindergarten classroom. It wasn't until my leg was like here and I was looking at my leg because it was quite close to my face that I then noticed behind me in the window of the Scouts Hall that there were paintings done by kindergarten children. And that was probably the weirdest, for me, place I've ever had sex. It was the only time I've ever had sex in open public. I have had sex in like a car multiple times before, but always kind of parked away from people and at night or somewhere that no one's ever gonna see us, except for that one time when the park ranger knocked on the door and was like, stop having sex in the car in the park. So that was a different experience. But that wasn't embarrassing while having sex, it was just embarrassing because we got caught. And I think that that might be maybe why I'm like, literally no one should ever be caught having sex, because it's super embarrassing. And also I feel really bad for the dude who caught us having sex. Like he was in uniform. He didn't want to come over and tap on the window and be like, stop it. He clearly didn't want to be a part of it. It was so awkward for everybody involved. That's most of the reason why I'm like, don't have sex in a public place if someone is gonna come up and find you. But I was young and reckless. I think that it's not really something that I'm proud of, but when people go, where's the weirdest place you've had sex? And I go up against the side of a kindergarten classroom, they always go, ah! And then I'm like, obviously it was nighttime, there weren't children inside, and it isn't usually a kindergarten classroom. I thought it was an empty, unused scouts hall. I wasn't intentionally trying to be creepy and gross and weird. It just happened that way. Sometimes when you're young and having sex with somebody, things don't go amazingly and you end up in a situation where you're looking at children's paintings of trees and animals and other weird shit. So that's the weirdest place I've ever had sex, and I'm gonna put that on the internet now. So, what? Thank you guys for watching this video. If you are feeling as embarrassed as I am right now, if you're feeling the secondhand embarrassment, give the video a thumbs up. That way I know I've done my job well. Don't worry, this is not turning into a cringe channel. If you would like to share your story in the comments below, go ahead. If you don't want to share your story, let me know which of the BuzzFeed ones was your favorite or really got you going. I don't want to know that. That's personal. Keep that to yourself. Maybe don't comment on this video at all because I don't want to know. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I bring out new videos Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And click the bloody notifications bell. I don't know. If your nipples are hard after this video, click on the notifications bell. Please. Because that's the kind of vibe I want to be sending out into the world. Whatever. And then maybe I'll share you with mine. No, that's not a sentence. Airplane toilet. I'd be on an airplane. If someone's having sex in the bathrooms, I would not be like, ew. I'd be like, good on him, you know? Get it where you can get it, girl.